Well, we're here today at the corner of Placer and East Streets at the Bank of America, where we have an Occupy Reading protest going on. People showing their civic duty and protesting on the street. This is one of our tenets of our Constitution, and we're glad to see people out here today. We're going to go over and see if this gentleman across the street will allow us to interview him. Hi, folks. Would you mind being interviewed today about why you're here?
You represent?
We represent, well, I am a member of the Reading Tea Party, but we also do these kinds of things on the street corners, and we definitely accept your right to do it also. So we'd just like to why are you here today?
And why do you think one would be here today?
Well, I see you're protesting Wall Street.
I'm protesting anything that's anti-democracy, which seems to be the state of this country.
You think we've gone too far?
I think corporations control the government, not the voters.
Who, if the vote were today, who would you vote for?
There's not a candidate running.
Too soon to tell?
That too soon. There's just there's nobody running with my principles.
Right.
Or constitutional principles, as I understand the Constitution.
Yes. What about Ron Paul? Has he come close?
He has some, but in other areas, no.
How about you, ma'am? What's your name?
Marisa Hewitt.
Marie?
Marisa.
Marisa. Your sign says, "You can have my American dream when you pry it from my cold dead hands," and you're willing to fight for your freedom. Is that right?
I'm fighting for your freedom as well. I mean, you're part of the 99%, unless you are the economic elite, or, well, I know the Tea Party is funded by the Koch brothers and AstroTurf groups, so unfortunately your movement was hijacked. I'm sure the original Tea Party people didn't realize that, but they know it now, and if they still support the multinational corporations, then they are part of the problem.
Our Tea Party is not funded by anybody but local citizens right here in Reading. But what about your American dream? What do you consider that to be?
The American dream is where people used to be able to work. There are no jobs. We're talking about joblessness. We're talking about income inequality. We're talking about an empire that doesn't care about its citizens. It cares more about dominating other countries and their resources. And the American dream is gone. I'm sorry, but it's gone for most people. And some people have been lucky and have been able to capitalize off of it. And it's out of reach for the majority of Americans. And that's why I think you're seeing more people on the streets occupy Wall Street and occupy Sacramento, occupy California. There's Occupy Vancouver. It's all over the world. And so it's growing and it's not going to stop. And we need to realize that we have more in common than we have differences. And it's about the issues. It's not so much about political parties. It's about getting Congress attention to pay attention to the people, because they're out of touch. We have a Congress, the best Congress that money can pay for. And we're not being represented, and that's why we're here. And we want jobs that pay a living wage so that there's a future for our children and our children's children.
Why are you here today?
Why am I here? Because I think there's a lot to complain about the government, along with a lot to be proud about, but it can be improved, and I'd like to be a part of that.
Very good. So you consider yourself one of the 99%ers also, one of the silent majority.
Yeah, I'm almost there. Another several million, and I'll have it knocked. But in the meantime.
All right. Thank you. Hi, do you mind if we find out why you're here today? Your sign basically says it all.
Fees that I fear that a lot of banks will follow. And I've also read that Bank of America is going to lay off 30,000 people. So they're cutting jobs and hitting us on Main Street in our pocketbook.
And do you think the problems with the Federal Reserve have anything to do with what the banks are doing?
Problems with the Federal Reserve. I don't know that much about the Federal Reserve. Yeah.
they basically have been printing money, and so it makes our money worth less. So
Yeah, I don't know. I saw a documentary on the Federal Reserve that it was created by Daddy Bush's great-grandfather, and it was a very controversial creation in the first place. And I know it's a private enterprise. It's not a government institution.
why are you here today?
I'm a concerned citizen and tired of these corporations controlling everything, and all the top 1% of the people, the wealthiest people in the country, have the most of the wealth. And it's done intentionally. It's not by accident, So we need to change these policies.
Excuse me, can I get your opinion?
Sure. I'm a recent college graduate, okay? I'm over 50 years old, and I graduated from college in 2009. I've been looking for work ever since then, but I haven't been able to find anything other than very low-paying jobs that I could have gotten without a college degree. And and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. All I want is enough of the big enough slice of the pie to take care of my family, and I can't get it. And the reason I can't get it is because the jobs that I trained to do have gone overseas, and the reason they went overseas is to increase corporate profits.
Why did Bank of America raise the $5 fee? Do you know?
Profit.
Hi. We're from the Tea Party. We think we have some common ground because we have protested also, used our civic rights to protest on the street, and we also agree with you on some of your basic concepts, like the Federal Reserve needs to be looked into, the corporations, those kind of things, saving the American dream. So, what would you like to say?
Well, I've lived here all my life in Redding, Shasta County, and I believe in local action like this. There's over 75 people here, from very young to very old. And this is the way it happens in America, especially right here in Redding. And I think this is great. And I hope Bank of America, here on the corner of East and Placer Street, pays attention. I mean, I'm in particularly here in regards to the no $5 fee. And that's just the beginning, I think, of what corporations like Bank of America, who own that mortgage company that's been foreclosing on people in mass, should be ashamed of themselves. I mean, this is turning America and Shasta County into a third world country.
Yes. Do you think the Federal Reserve has had anything to do with the bank's situation?
Well, I'm not up on the Federal Reserve, but all I know is that it's a mega corporation in its own right, and there's no doubt that it needs to be looked at by consumer groups like us, the local people, the real local consumer groups.
Would you consider Ron Paul one of a culpable presidential contender?
Well, he's interesting. I consider him to be a vote stealer, so he's good for Democrats. He takes votes away from the Republican front runner for sure. It's good to see anyone run with a good message like he has, and I don't think he has the economic stability to be the front runner. That's the way it is, unfortunately, in American politics, is he or she who has the most money is the front runner.
Yes, I agree. And it's a sad situation for us all.
Well, involve political reform in terms of campaign funding.
Save the American dream, right? Why are you here today, ma'am?
Because I want to save the American dream. I'm angry about this $5 fee, even though it doesn't affect me. I don't have a debit or credit card. But this is not the time to start increasing their fees on people that are out of work. And there are plenty of those, as you well know.
Yes, there are a lot, especially here in Shasta County. Mm-hmm. So tell us when the next protest will be.
The Occupy Reading event at Chase Bank is this Saturday, 12 noon. It's October 15th, and it's at the Chase Bank on Cypress near Safeway.
Okay. And are they raising their fees also, or is there another reason for their?
Chase Bank isn't raising their fees. All of the big banks have been basically doing the same thing. Over the last 25 to 30 years, they've been consolidating. They've been buying out their competitors. You basically have four huge banks now in the United States: Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America. They've bought up, all of their competition, which makes them even bigger, as opposed to too big to fail. They're laying off thousands of people. Bank of America just announced they're going to lay off 30,000 people. 30,000 people they're laying off after taking bailout money and handing out $1 million bonuses to their brass. And the American people aren't going to take it anymore. They're giving consumers fewer choices, raising fees, which hurts the people at the bottom the most, and it's not going to stand.
So would a solution be to take your money out of Bank of America and put into a local bank?
Absolutely, either a local bank or even better, a local credit union. Credit unions don't offer or don't operate on a for-profit motive. They use the fees and the money they generate from their members in order to lower rates and provide services and loans to their local communities.
There are many issues on this, and what about the Federal Reserve? What do you know about the Federal Reserve and how it's implicated in all of this mess?
There's a lot of people speaking out about the Federal Reserve as well. The Federal Reserve basically is owned by a number of other banks, some of them here in the United States and some of them multinational corporate banks. The Federal Reserve is in charge of printing out money and loaning it to our Congress, so Congress can basically not have to raise taxes on Americans, but then Americans are the ones that have to foot the bill and pay back that money to the Federal Reserve with interest. So it's a shell game. The Federal Reserve has to go. I think you'll find people on the right and the left, Libertarians, Republicans, Democrats, that all agree about that. The Federal Reserve has to go. It's a sham. It's only been responsible basically for inflation and devaluing the dollar since its inception.
There are many issues that we agree with you on, and we are from the Tea Party, and we are with you in the bailout. We thought that was a very bad thing to begin with.
Absolutely.
And we were also against raising the debt ceiling, putting our country deeper into debt. What do you think about the debt ceiling recently?
The debt ceilings is another thing that, it shows the huge debacle that happened with the raising of the debt ceiling, which has happened again and again and again and again. I don't know, 50 times in the last, 35 years the debt ceiling's been raised. They do it all the time. The fact that they wouldn't do it this time, that there was such a partisan roadblock to get that done, A, it just shows how broken our government is, and B, it also shows that, we keep raising the debt ceiling. It's insanity. It's like, it's like a household. You only have so much money coming in. You can't just pick up another credit card when all your credit cards are maxed out. So yeah, it's absolute absurdity.
And it's the money they borrowed to raise the debt ceiling that we're going to have to pay back to
with interest. And really not we're going to have to pay back. Our kids are going to have to pay back, and our grandkids are going to have to pay back, and it's going to be much harder on them than it is going to be on us.
That's very true. Well, I would like to invite you to come out to the Tea Party. I think you'd find that we agree with each other in a lot of issues.
I would. I'd gladly speak with people in the Tea Party. The We Are the 99 or the Occupy America movement is not opposed. Is not opposed to any group, be them, Tea Party. We're all Americans. We're all in this same lifeboat together, and there's a big hole in the bow. We can either come together and find solutions and be civil with one another, whether we disagree on issues. We don't have to agree on everything. We agree on most things, and these economic policies that the big banks have been handing out and the Federal Reserve have been handing out are affecting all of us in a very bad way, and it's only getting worse. So absolutely.
All right, thank you. What was your name?
My name is Mike Contreras.
Mike Contreras. Thank you for allowing me time to interview you.
Thank you for coming out.
Do you have any information I can get to get back with you?
If you go to the facebook.com/Occupy Reading.
What's your name?
Becky.
Becky. Why are you here today?
To support the Occupy Wall Street and Occupy Reading cause.
And what is it all about? Are you protesting the $5 fee as well from Bank of America?
That, among other things, yes, that $5 fee is a little outrageous. And just the corporate greed in America anyway. You know, we bailed the banks out, and in turn they were supposed to basically bail out the people of America, and they did not.
They were supposed to make money more available to loan to people for their businesses and so forth, and they've tightened up.
Right, they sure have. Yeah, they're making it a lot harder, and they're not letting the economy run as it should. They are kind of holding everything at the top, and as some of us feel, you know, feeding their greedy needs and wants, and not just not handing, but supporting the general public in their needs that they have, you know, as far as housing and loans, to be able to just live and support their family. You know, the American dream used to be, you know, where, oh, you'd have your house and you'd vacation in Hawaii or something every year, but it's not like that anymore. The American dream is just holding on to your house and, you know, not losing it, is having a job every day to go to, working enough so you're not just unemployed, but underemployed. That's another problem too, is the underemployment, is people can't afford to support themselves. And we did rely on the bailouts to help us out for jobs, the economy, for the mortgages, and it's just, they're not giving it back. They're sitting on it themselves. They're giving themselves the big raises and bonuses, and some of the places are even closing down.
Why do you think they're sending all these jobs overseas?
Well, to make more money so they don't have to pay taxes, so they don't have to pay the fines, the permits, the fees to do business here in the United States, which is unfortunate in itself, and that's something that also needs to be changed. But
the burdensome regulations.
Exactly, yeah, and that's where the politicians can help or hinder it, and some of them are hindering it. They're not allowing some of the corporations to work, to be financially able to work in this country, and that's what they need to do, is be able to support the businesses. It's not that the corporations are horrible and we need to shut them down. What we need to do is work with them, and they need to give back as much as we're giving them. We are supporting them. You know, they are the businesses that we need to do some business with, unfortunately in some cases, but because of that, we're doing our business with them. They're not returning the favor and letting it be as fluent as it should be as far as our economy goes.
A lot of the problems that why corporations send their employees overseas or their business overseas is the EPA requirements, some of the things that and you're right about that. Our politicians do need to do that. I mean, especially here in California, I know that's why a lot of businesses are leaving.
At what price are we going to have jobs? Are we going to deregulate everything so we can have a handful of jobs? That's not the way it's going to work. We're killing ourselves.
And ruin our environment?
Yeah.
This is what keeps us alive. I mean, this environment, this nature is what keeps us alive. So it made it possible for us to be here. When we have no regard for it, like we have, it's all money and the hell with everything else. That's insanity.
How many cars, how many bedrooms do we need in a house? It's ridiculous. People are, so much has changed in the last 30 or 40 years. You know, it's not a matter of just surviving anymore. Everybody needs more. There's just not room for that. All these laws and regulations were put in place for a reason, to keep our air clean, our water clean, to give us a healthier environment to live with or in. If you give all that away in the name of a handful of jobs, once again, you're on the wrong track.
We are way over-consuming this planet of ours, and it's not going to sustain us any longer if we continue to rape it and kill it. Oh, we bow down to that. Oh, the guy that has all the wealth, and really they are destroying things for the rest of us.
All right. Well, thank you two for taking time to talk to me. I appreciate it.
We're not quite nutcases yet.
Oh. Well, either are we. Yeah, I think we have some common ground. You know, we are part of the 99%ers too. Okay, thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.